If I can't take the question right at the moment, I'll tell you, and I'll come right back to that, and I'll promise I'll do my best to come back to your question and address your question. What I'd like to do is go through a very brief PowerPoint here, very brief, just a couple slides, just to introduce MyAssistant, why we did it, why we developed the product, from as far as the customer needs and so forth, and then I'm going to jump in the software and spend most of the session in the software. From a time check perspective, these sessions normally last between 30 and 40 minutes, so that's kind of a time check for you. So I may have to get the question, why Stage MyAssistant? Why this product? And normally we get pretty good agreement on this slide right here. That and I just kind of title it More, Faster, Better. When you kind of think about your day, your work life, maybe your home life as well, the information demands placed on us are continually increasing. People want more information, whether it be project managers, owners, customers, vendors, employees, what have you. The need for information has increased and will probably continue to increase. The pace of business continues to increase. And it's kind of funny with that second one. It's not like we've got these huge staffs. The pace is increasing. The demands for information is increasing. People want better quality, better all the way around. Yet, if most businesses, staff doesn't increase. You probably have the same staff. You may have less staff after 2008. Heard lots of stories along that line. So, in short, what it came down to is, as Ashley mentioned, I spent about 20 years at Timberline and Timberline Software, and customers were constantly the general theme was, can't the computer do more? Can't let's make the machine work for me instead of, in essence, almost sometimes me working for the machine, if you ever felt that way. So we built this product and we called it MyAssistant. So the simplest way to think of MyAssistant is as an automation tool. It's a tool or a piece of software that will automate things for you. And when I say that, it's kind of a broad statement, but think of it as the ability to look for something. And the look for something could be all over the board. It could be anything from, hey, it's Tuesday, we need to do these things on Tuesday, or it may be a certain project is at a certain point in its contract, or 50%, and at this point we need to do something. So it monitors for something, and then it takes an action. Many people look at MyAssistant as a personal assistant. So some examples there is it can email you alerts. It can check on something. Did this job get set up? Did we receive a budget for the job? Did we receive a signed change order back? Did we, etc. It can generate 7 reports for you. The reports can be either Timberline Report Designer reports or customer reports, but it can generate reports and can personalize those reports, as well as communicate with others, things like sending letters and just talking to somebody yesterday, sending out lien waivers. They print AP checks, it automatically sends out their lien waivers to their vendors, so it can communicate with others for you. I'm just going to jump down to this last point, and what my plan is today is I'm going to take you through a couple examples in the software, and then I'm going to show you a bunch of examples that customers have done. And what you're going to see when you look through these customer lists is that MyAssistant is really being used throughout the organization. This isn't a tool just for accounting, or just for operations, or just for leasing departments, or just for admins, or whatever. What we're seeing, and there's about 1,500, just shy of 1,500 Stage 300 customers right now using MyAssistant. What we're seeing is the software is really used throughout the organization, and it really gets back to the kind of the creativity of the user and on the different ways it's being used. And that's kind of what's been fun for us is seeing the many different ways that MyAssistant is being used out there. So what I'd like to do now is I'd like to go in here and show you really how you receive information from MyAssistant, and then I'll show you how you get set up with MyAssistant, and then I'll show you some customer examples. So the first way you get information is in your Outlook inbox, right? This is the place where most people live, most people spend most of their time. And I've kind of grouped some alerts in kind of two categories here. The first one is being things like managing risks or managing jobs, managing properties and leases. You can receive alerts that say, hey, we've got some change requests that are submitted not approved. When these go out, MyAssistant can be smart enough to send information per job or per property. So in other words, each project manager or project assistant would receive their alerts. You may get an alert on here's subcontracts that are signed. We see lots of use in this area around insurance, contracts, getting a list of secondary suppliers, all sorts of contract compliance type needs, getting certified reports in from subcontractors and vendors. Here's an example of vendors insurance. You receive a list of vendors whose insurance is maybe going to expire out in the next 30, 60 days. When you create these things, and you'll see this in a second here, you can actually determine what information gets pushed out. So you get to determine, you set up MyAssistant on one machine. There's kind of this administrator application where you set up these things and then they just run, and you get to determine what information gets pushed out for each subject. So like on vendor insurance, maybe this is the information you want to send. So, or another thing you might want to do is for vendor insurance, I'm going to jump over to extend workflows, is maybe you want to send something like a letter. Okay, so MyAssistant can generate dunning letters out to your vendors. Remember I said it can communicate for you? So think of all the various letters that you may send. And notice it does mail merge. And remember I said it can look up who it should send to. So in this case, we're sending a letter requesting insurance certificates, or maybe we want to request the status of a change order, a status of a submittal, a status of a signed lease. Let your imagination go. Another thing that a really common example of MyAssistant is actually sending out pay stubs. So you can send, this is really common with MyAssistant, you can send employees their pay stubs. Actually, they're using direct deposit. And each employee gets their own stub. You can password protect these. That's a normal question that comes up right now. Hold on, what if it's secured? You can password protect these, so each employee has to put a password in to open up the PDF file. So that's an example of how MyAssistant can maybe extend your workflows. Another one might be just sending project managers their reports. And so here I've got a report that came out of MyAssistant. It's a job overview report, and it will send each PM, and that's not PM, could be a division manager, could be an assistant, their jobs on their reports. So if you just even think of the report distribution today that you do, I think you'll find talking to a client yesterday, and they're doing some report distribution. They send out this packet each month, and they estimated it's going to save them between 6 and 8 hours a month in time by just having MyAssistant pull the reports together, send each party their reports, and email it out in their inbox form. So different ways of doing it. You can have attachments, you can have lists. Workflows as far as, hey, we've got a service going on, and here's a bunch of work orders. Maybe you have this running every day and say these are work orders that aren't scheduled. Somebody took a work order, placed it, didn't schedule it. Little things that sometimes fall through the crack just based on the pace and the work of people's work. So one way to get information is pushed into people's inboxes. Another way to receive information is right here on your Windows desktop. Okay, so hopefully some of you are seeing a little green box here. We call it a live tile. And MyAssistant users can have this green box sitting on their desktop. They don't have to be in Outlook. Outlook can be closed if I want to. And at any point, I can go in here and see my notifications. So if I want to go in here and say, I want to see change request not approved, and these are going to be my notifications. These are going to be things for me. I can see these things. Let's say I want to take this list and I just want to drop it in Excel real quick. I can just go in and say, open that up in Excel, and there it is. So right here from the Windows desktop, you have access to your information. You also can check for something. Today, many times, the way you check for something is you have to pick up the phone or you have to email somebody or something like that. Well, maybe you can check and say, did we get that change order back? Has someone still sitting on that invoice out there waiting to approve it? So I can say, let's check for pending invoices out for approval. And it went out to my Timberline. And here's a list of invoices out pending invoices waiting for approval. So right from your Windows desktop, you can easily go in and say, check for something. But to do, I won't spend a lot of time on that, but basically one of the things in MyAssistant is you can set things up to run at the completion of process in Sage. So if in Sage, after payroll, you do certain things, it will prompt you on your screen to do those things, and it will add it to your to-do list. So you actually can have a to-do list built for you based on your workflows in your company there. So two really common ways. One, your Outlook inbox to access information. The second way is right here from the Windows desktop. And this has been a really popular feature in that it just provides really quick access to the Sage information. You don't have to open up an application. You don't have to start. I don't have to start Sage. I don't have to start Outlook. And right here, I can see, my information that I have set up for me. Okay, maybe she shouldn't have mentioned recording because that kind of makes everybody quiet. Any questions thus far? Okay, so what we want to do now, this is the MyAssistant software. This is the kind of the console that I talked about where things are set up, where you can kind of determine what you will monitor in your business and who will receive what information. MyAssistant comes with a variety of these things we call tasks. So think of almost giving your assistant a task. If you're a construction company, there's about 200 or so pre-built tasks. On the real estate side, there's about 100 plus. The reason there's less on real estate because there's just fewer applications, software applications. But you can come in here and turn on any of these tasks. You also can set up your new tasks. Real briefly, I'm just going to go in and I'm going to open up a task here just to kind of show you the pieces of setting this up. And we try to make it simple. In short, to set up a task in MyAssistant, there's a couple key things. One is a condition. Okay, now there's 300 and so odd conditions. Think of a condition almost like a report condition. So when you go in to run a report today in Sage, there's that little condition button where you can go in and put in conditions. Only this condition capability is quite a bit more powerful. And so think of the condition. Then you have a condition. You have a schedule. When do you want to run this? I want to run this every day maybe, or once a week, or once a month. Or I want to run around completion of a process in Sage. So I want to run it at the end of that. So I want to say after I post checks in payroll, or after I do something in Sage, I want this thing to kick off. So you can do that. After I close month, I want to send out my month-end reports or what have you. And then what information do I want to send? So here I can, on the information, I can say send this to this particular person. And here's the Timberline database. And it's really easy to find things in the Timberline database. The Timberline database the state database is huge. And let's say I want to go in here and I just want to find the vendor's address. I just start typing address, and we built search into MyAssistant all throughout the software. So I can go in here and I can just drop the address field in. Or if I want another field, if I want the contact to or an email address, whatever, and you just drag fields from the list over here to this list, and that actually what determines, when I was showing you in the email, it determines this report right here. And the report, you can group by things and total and change colors and fonts, and you have quite a bit of control. So we tried to make it really, really simple, just to kind of drag things onto the list here if I wanted to do that and build my report that way. So there's really just three basic steps. There's the condition, as far as how often you want to notify somebody, or you can give it a name and that sort of stuff. But those are really kind of superfluous to setting up a task. So most people come in, they grab our pre-built tasks, and they just start turning some on. They just come in and say, okay, I want I want to turn on this one right here, workers' comp. So they open it. We step through a little wizard here. We say, okay, workers' comp expiring in 30 days. I want to schedule that to run once a month, let's say, on the first of the month. I'm going to send it to somebody. I'm not going to type that in. And that's it. There's 2 more steps here, and I've got it activated. And do you want to run it? Yes or no? And away you go. So the best thing to do when you're using MyAssistant, if you're MyAssistant users, just start turning on some of these pre-built tasks. And then you can later go back up and change them and say, well, this is great, but I want to see some other information, and away you go. Okay, so we tried to make that as simple as possible. Any questions? Okay, what I'd like to do now is, in working with clients over the years, I've had the opportunity to see what they're doing, and I've collected many examples of task lists from clients, lists of tasks and things that they're doing with the software. So, like, this is one I got from, I think it was from a general contractor, and they're doing things like vendor insurance, their invoices with expiring discounts. They're getting vendors on hold. Sometimes people make mistakes and put vendors on hold. Maybe they have a policy in their company that they always enter a receive date. They set up a little MyAssistant task to check for that. We got pending invoices without a receive date. They've got invoices without retainage. So if MyAssistant is smart enough to say, look, if the invoice is for a sub, it needs to have retainage on it. They're using things like invoices missing certified payroll reports that came in, and for subcontractors that should have turned certified payroll reports. Here's another one that invoices for payment without insurance. So I just kind of like to always kind of go through this list and see all the various things that people do. I kind of scroll down here on the billing side. Here's some jobs that weren't billed in so many days. They're using one here where jobs are losing their lien rights. So if they haven't been paid in full on a job, they can do that. Here's a certain type of job, highway heavy jobs, not billed in 30 days. I don't know all the stories behind every one of these. But these are tasks, MyAssistant tasks that this guy's using. Suspense accounts. So here's an example of they want to see suspense accounts with a balance, so GL accounts, or cost codes over budget. As you can see here, this guy's using 112 tasks. They're distributing reports. They're doing things like change request, not approved, sending out daily cash balances, employees without birthdays set up, or employees that have birthdays today. Remember before I said it's kind of used throughout the organization? Let me show you a couple other examples. Let me jump over to maybe this guy, see what he's got going. So this guy's doing stuff where they've got invoices or missed POs. For some reason, they need to see open equipment invoices. These are things that you guys are probably doing today. You have little tiny things in your office that you say, well, we need to catch, invoices entered in cost codes without an estimate. Somebody went in and miscoded an invoice. So they and they set up a new cost code, and they shouldn't have. It should go to a different cost code. That'll catch that. Jobs with change management without change management check. So they check in their setup in Timberline here. Or jobs where the state hasn't been entered. What else is this guy doing? He's doing a bunch of processing stuff, time charged to certain jobs, or shop count on Monday. I don't know what that means. Final PTO for the week. So they have to do some reporting of paid time off for the week to somebody. So they have MyAssistant do that automatically for them. Here again, hopefully you're getting the idea of the broad nature of this. I can't speak to your unique business needs, but what I encourage people to do is to think about all the little things that they do. Here's one I got from a mechanical contractor. Service sites that are COD only. Maybe they get out to the techs to make sure they collect payment. There's various sites that are set up without certain tax setup. Committed costs not sent to, commitments not sent to accounting from project management. It'll catch that for you. Jobs without project managers. AR credit limit issues. Here's a good one. Jobs final billing were sent out, but you still have retainings left to bill. Like I said, hopefully you're getting the idea. If you'd like, I can kind of send you some of these lists. People are getting really, really creative, and what they're doing is they're using MyAssistant to not only automate just standard workflow processes like send everybody their weekly or monthly reports or their pay stubs or their lien releases or things of that nature, but they're also using MyAssistant for all the little things that people do as far as catching things in Sage 300 and reminding them to do things. Job is not final billed. By the way, guys, we moved on, and somebody forgot to final bill this job. Real life stuff that I'm guessing happens in your business along with these businesses here. It's been very, very quiet. Any questions whatsoever? No? Maybe Ashley should turn off the recording and then we'll ask questions. I'll go through one more example for you guys, and then if there aren't any questions, we'll wrap it up. This one was from a property management and service company. There looks like they're reporting on suspense accounts. They got some setup information here. We see lots of HR stuff, things like employee training certificates need to be renewed, or driver's licenses, or emergency contacts aren't collected, or we see lots and lots of HR stuff with MyAssistant. We open invoices. This is an interesting one. This one, when they get a cash receipt in AR, they print out a list of AP invoices associated with that job. And so kind of the pay when paid thing. This person's doing that. I've heard that before. Direct deposit statements to vendors. We're seeing more and more of that. We're seeing more where people are paying with credit cards and then sending a remittance document following with MyAssistant. I don't know what bid jobs are. I don't know what that was. PM units that are vacant. Terminated leases with balances. Somebody terminated their lease, got a balance. They push that out to the property managers. Leases expiring in 30 days. What else we got? Employees with same Social Security numbers, employee birth dates. That's a common one. So very setup information. Here's some work order information. So these guys are heavy service users. So work orders aren't billed or not completed and billed. This is an interesting one. Work orders that have costs that aren't billable. They get that. I know whose client is now. They get that one sent up. So, like I said, lots and lots of ways of using the software. The key is just to kind of get started. Start by using some of the pre-built tasks and activating those. And what we see is once that starts happening, the floodgates open up, and it's not uncommon for us to be on customers' machines and see them having